me get this straight. The president of basketball operations for the New York Knicks holds an impromptu press conference to announce to the basketball world that the New York Knicks have not played to the level they expected to. Needless to say, Steve Mills is standing on an island all by himself because almost anybody else who's knowledgeable about basketball absolutely expected the New York Knicks to look exactly the way that they looked. So it made no sense whatsoever to hold an impromptu press conference. As far as I'm concerned, he basically fired David Fizdale without telling him he's fired and without telling us that he's fired. That's basically a perspective that I think will ring true, but nobody knows it better than my next guest, the ultimate insider himself, Adrian Wojnarowski, who actually talked a lot and broke a lot of news about this New York Knicks situation. Tell us the latest, Woj. What do you think Fizdale's fate is in New York City?
Stephen, I think his dismissal is inevitable, barring a dramatic turnaround right now. And you said it there, Stephen, to hold a news conference while your head coach is still in the locker room with his team, hasn't even left yet to come to his press conference, and Fizdale finds out when he walks out that management is in there, essentially criticizing the execution of his players, the effort. And in that moment, I think there was a trust broken that is going to make it really difficult for Fizdale to be able to be in that position long term. And this is a Knicks team that is not constructed to win in the short term. And, you're looking at that roster for prospects in the long term. They're in a dark place right now. And, David Fizdale, as in a long line of Knicks coaches, is headed toward being the fall guy, at least the first fall guy for the failures of this Knicks team.
Let's transition to an elevated level of basketball. Let's go to Los Angeles, California, the Los Angeles Lakers, specifically Anthony Davis. Although he's been playing lights out, averaging about 26 and 10 with 3 blocks per game, obviously that shoulder injury appears to be bothering him a lot. What can you tell us about those developments? He's clearly not expected to play tonight. Anything else you can give us about Anthony Davis?
Stephen, he's going to be out tonight. It's possible he could miss another game. This is a day-to-day injury, but this is not long-term. I think one of the things Anthony Davis has really wanted to show people this season is that he's not fragile and that he doesn't want to miss games, and he's determined to be on the court as much as possible, but certainly they don't need him playing hurt or in pain, but they expect to have Anthony Davis back soon.
Adrian Wojnarowski, the ultimate insider. Thanks a lot, buddy. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, Stephen.
Boston Celtics got a game tonight, and right there you're looking at the one and only Kemba Walker. As bad as a brother as Kyrie Irving is, Boston is not missing him too much right now. Celtics on an 8-game winning streak, led by that man. And of course, in Minnesota, the one and only Karl Anthony Towns, averaging 25 and 12 this season. One of only 2 players averaging that, along with the one and only Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. Welcome to the latest edition of Sports Center with Stephen A. Smith. Just a few feet away from me, Paul George was warming up, not expected to play tonight, expected to play tomorrow night, but one of the dynamic duos that's supposed to elevate the Los Angeles Clippers to an NBA championship was on the court just a few seconds ago. Welcome again to the latest edition of Sports Center with Stephen A. Smith. Gotta say this, inside right here in the Toyota Center, 2 years ago, there was a conference finals here. Last year was a semifinals berth here. When you look at these Houston Rockets, the acquisition of Russell Westbrook is supposed to elevate them to another level. Mike D'Antoni spoke to me before the game, talked about how there are no expectations for Russell Westbrook to shoot 3-pointers and do something that he isn't accustomed to doing. The expectation is for Russell Westbrook to be what you've always seen him to be. Extraordinarily athletic, obviously incredibly gifted, fierce competitor that he is, and that alone is supposed to propel the Houston Rockets. Tracy McGrady, welcome to the show. I don't know if that's going to get it done for the Houston Rockets, but how are you feeling about this Houston Rockets team with Russell Westbrook here now?
Listen, I mean, regular season, we all know Mike D'Antoni is unbelievable in the regular season in terms of his system and what it's able to do. It's when they get to the playoffs. To me, I think trading away Chris Paul, I know Russell Westbrook is a better basketball player than Chris Paul. Well, let's talk about fit. Russell Westbrook, if he's going to play off the ball, it's not going to work. He has to have the ball to initiate the offense and have James Harden on the receiving end. He doesn't shoot the ball as well as Chris Paul. He turns the ball over. So I think he has to have the ball in his hand. He can't be the off guard.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but here's why I'm looking at it. You look at Russell Westbrook, his ability to penetrate into the teeth of a defense and kick it out to the open shooters. Eric Gordon is out with the knee injury, but ultimately he'll be back. James Harden is James Harden. You're going to look at guys like Ben McLemore and others that D'Antoni has said he expects to rely upon. Don't you believe that that'll make Houston a better shooting team and that will make things better for James Harden?
Listen, offensively, they're going to be one of the better offensive teams in this league. That's just how they flow. They got the guy that's averaging 37 points coming off an MVP season. They're going to score points. What are you going to hang your hat on when you're not knocking down those threes? I know the team they playing tonight, they can win a lot of ball games without having to have a great offensive night because defensively, they sound. This team is the Rockets going to be sound when they're not knocking down shots? Are they going to be sound on the defensive end? We don't know. We got to see.
Let's transition to the Los Angeles Clippers. When you look at Paul George, when you look at this, look right now, Paul George is out tonight. He's expected to make his season debut tomorrow against the Pelicans. George had off-season surgeries on both shoulders prior to the Clippers acquiring him from the Thunder to team with Kawhi Leonard. We see him right there practicing on the court right now. We know what he brings to the table as an individual player, averaging 28 and 8 last year. What do you expect from him this year on this team?
28 with a bad shoulder. I mean, I expect PG to be who he is. Come in healthy, making the game easy for the guys that he's playing with. Kawhi's going to make the game easy for him. I mean, he's just adding another two-way player in our game that is probably the best to do it. Offensively, defensively, and then you team him up with Kawhi Leonard, who's the reigning MVP of the finals last year. Come on, man. I mean, they're destined for a championship.
Is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard enough to deliver a championship? Or do you look at the rest of the Clippers and say, there's some unsung individuals that we're not paying enough attention to? Your thoughts?
Tell you, when these two signed together, I instantly say they was going to win a championship. Why? Because they're both selfless players. Both are two-way players. And they got the clutch gene, right? They can take over games offensively, defensively. And then you got Pat Beverly, being the pest that he is, providing that energy, along with one of the top 6 men in the game, Lou Williams. Their bench is deep. It's up to them, and they coached by one of the greatest coaches in our game.
Tracy McGrady, appreciate you. Don't go anywhere. You or that jacket, don't go anywhere. Stay right here. I got a lot more to talk with you about. By the way, coming up, my exclusive interview with the one and only James Harden. The Rocket star reveals what the critics don't understand about his game and why Houston is finally ready to take home an NBA championship. And from Eric Bledsoe's inbound blunder to a post-game celebration gone wrong. Don't miss, oh no you didn't, moments away right here. Moments around the NBA.
Ready? We got Tim Legler back with us here on SportsCenter. Clippers at Houston tonight. The good news is Kawhi is playing, matched up against James Harden and Russell Westbrook. And let's go on the court and take a closer look here. Harden's averaging 37 points this season, highest scoring average through a player's first 10 games since Rick Barry. What's been the difference for him?
Oh, you know what's crazy, man? This is a crazy statistic I'm going to throw at you right now. If you took out every other area of the floor and you negated his ability to score from anywhere other than the three-point line or the foul shot, he'd still be like top 10 in the league in scoring. He'd average 26 a game just based on free throws and threes. Nothing's really changed other than maybe his shot volume a little bit. Like, he comes out games much more aggressively, I think, than he has in the past. He would let the first 5 or 6 minutes come to him in the past. That's not the case this year. He comes out and he is looking to get it up early, find his rhythm. He struggled the first 5 games of the year, so it's actually incredible. He's averaging 37 based on the way he shot the ball to start the year.
How about this number with Russ? Shooting over 47% from the floor this season, on pace to be a highest mark in his 12-year career. What's he doing different?
Well, one thing he's doing is he's turning down some of those catnip-type threes they try to bait him into. Right? He's not taking as many of those. He's finishing better than he did last year. And he's starting to make the mid-range pull-up again, which was his staple shot and one of the most unstoppable shots in the league. He didn't make that shot last year. I mean, night after night after night, I don't know if he has something bothering him physically. He just did not have the same elevation on that shot. It was front rim all the time. So he's making that one as well. Getting to the rim in transition on this team with all those shooters. There's a lot of space to get to the rim.
So career high so far for him from the floor. How about Kawhi and career highs so far this season? 27 8 boards, nearly 6 dimes. All of those, again, career highs. What's different for him in this new environment in L.A.?
Look, they're very deep. He's got a lot of help, but I think coming off of what he did last year in that run he had for a couple of months in Toronto to take that team to a championship, he's more confident than he's ever been. He is the model of efficiency. I love watching Kawhi Leonard play because nothing is ever forced.